Welcome to Tokyo Wave, recorded in a live studio in Harajuku, Japan, with your hosts Aaron and Parker. Alright everyone, welcome to episode 132 of Tokyo Wave. We're your hosts Aaron Randall
and Parker Allen. On Tokyo Wave, we bring you weekly updates from our studio in Harajuku.
Join us in segments featuring this week's top news,
political happenings,
business,
and other random garbage.
To get us started, here are this week's top news highlights.
Female member of government panel joins meeting at Japan Prime Minister's office with a baby.
Kobe to enact Japan's first ordinance on use of ChatGPT in operations.
Tokyo Host Club employee accused of abetting prostitution in the first case in 60 years.
This week in Japan. All right, so our first story. Female member of government panel joins meeting at Japan PM's office with baby.
Kyoto News has reported that a female member of a government panel participated in a meeting at Prime Minister Fumio Kishida's office with her 2-month-old baby on Thursday. On April 27th, with the cabinet pledging to take necessary measures to promote women's empowerment.
Shoko Takahashi, founder of the Japanese personal genome company GeneQuest Incorporated, is believed to be the first person to take their newborn to a gathering held at the Prime Minister's office.
The Cabinet Secretariat received consultation in advance from Takahashi and prepared a place for her to breastfeed, although she did not actually need it.
Later in the day, Takahashi told reporters while carrying her baby in a sling, the baby started to cry a little during the meeting, but everyone smiled and interacted kindly. We were warmly welcomed by them.
Whoa, this is a thing for Japan?
No, it's definitely, a big thing for Japan and the Japanese government. I think they did some stuff like this in the States too. They would stage these kinds of things, to make a fair point on, a number of topics, but...
Yeah, I think, though, this sounds like it was not really staged, but just sort of, done the way it should have been done and handled the way it should have been handled, which is kind of a breath of fresh air, Looks like the Japanese government is modernizing.
Yeah, seems to be the case.
And up next, Kobe to enact Japan's first ordinance on use of ChatGPT in operations.
The Mainichi has reported that the Kobe municipal government on April 27th unveiled a plan to enact an ordinance specifying rules for the use of generative artificial intelligence, AI, such as the ChatGPT chatbot, in its operations, a first for a local municipality in Japan.
Under the plan, the existing ordinance on the use of electronic information, enacted in 2005, will be amended to include a provision prohibiting employees from entering any information that is considered subject to non-disclosure under an ordinance on access to public records, such as names and other personal information, medical histories or other data that could be detrimental to certain individuals, etc.
The amendments will be proposed during a regular municipal assembly meeting in May. According to Kobe City, an ordinance on the use of generative AI is, quote, unprecedented in Japan.
Kobe Mayor Kizo Hisamoto told a press conference, quote, in order to prepare for the risk of personal information leaks, we have decided that we need rules in the form of an ordinance rather than guidelines or manuals within the city office.
Meanwhile, Mayor Hisamoto expressed his intention to actively utilize ChatGPT if the ordinance is passed, saying, quote, ChatGPT is expected to improve operational efficiency and generate ideas.
I get to see the mayor now. ChatGPT, can I expense this?
Yeah, it's, this is great that and we're going to talk about this later in our segment, that Japan is really talking about this, and they're going to, regulate it and create rules to use it and benefit from using the technology at the governmental level.
Yeah, the ChatGPT boom has certainly hit Japan. The CEO visited here recently. We talked about it before, and we're going to talk about it again because now the government is actually starting to not just talk about it, but issue white papers on it.
It's awesome. Lots of exciting stuff.
And we'll be talking about the latest white paper on ChatGPT coming from a working group within the LDP later in our special feature.
All right, and up next, Tokyo Host Club employee accused of abetting prostitution in the first case in 60 years.
The Mainichi has also reported that the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department Security Division announced on April the 27th that an employee at a host club in Kabukicho, Tokyo's most infamous entertainment district, has been arrested on suspicion of enticing a female customer to engage in prostitution. It is apparently the first case in 60 years that an individual in Japan has been accused of abetting prostitution. But I'm pretty sure it's not the first time.
Yeah, Kabukicho is known for certain things, and
Yep.
won't say anything more than that. Police arrested Homade Egawa, 25, of unknown dress on suspicion of violating the Anti-Prostitution Act by telling a female customer, quote, "If you're hard up for money, try standing on the street and soliciting customers for prostitution." He has admitted to the allegations.
The Anti-Prostitution Act prohibits the act of forcing or brokering prostitution by deceiving, threatening, or assaulting others.
The Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department, or MPD, has been cracking down on hosts who have coerced or facilitated prostitution by threatening female customers. Still, there has been no end to the number of female customers who have started prostituting themselves after being enticed to do so by hosts to make money, among other purposes. The MPD determined that the host's act on encouraging prostitution warranted an abetting charge.
Egawa specifically stands accused of urging a then 23-year-old woman to wait for customers on the streets for prostitution in Tokyo in early March of this year, telling her, quote, "If you earn money by doing so, you can meet me at the club and repay the debt."
Police arrested the woman on suspicion of violating the Anti-Prostitution Act after finding her waiting for a customer in front of Okubo Park in Tokyo's Shinjuku ward. Police learned from the woman's statements and other information that Egawa had enticed her to prostitute herself.
According to the police, the woman had a large amount of debt and was having trouble making ends meet. Egawa reportedly told investigators, quote, "I thought you could make money easily by standing and soliciting customers, so I seduced her into prostitution in order to increase my sales."
Yeah, so, in a way, I am kind of glad this case is, going through because there is a prostitution problem here in Tokyo.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, this is not to, say anything against sex workers because, it exists everywhere in the world.
Yeah.
And everybody knows it. But what these hosts are doing, this is some messed up stuff.
They're using people. It's almost like modern slavery.
No, it really is. And I'm glad that the police are finally doing something about it. It only took them 60 years.
Yeah.
Do more. That would be a good idea. Top tip, cops, stop stopping gaijins on bicycles!
All right, and up next on Japanese Politics Wow, we're going to be talking about how AI is taking over Japan news cycle by storm.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Tokyo Wave.
AI is hot, right? But Japan has not yet passed any major legislation specific to it. However, with the buzz of ChatGPT sweeping world news as well as local headlines here in Japan, there are movements within the Liberal Democratic Party, or LDP, to create AI-specific legislation. A member of parliament Akihisa Shiozaki is one of the members of the LDP at the forefront of AI, as well as Web3 and IT in general developments, and he and other LDP legislators inside Nagatacho have recently released a white paper outlining issues and opportunities that they suggest Japan should pursue.
The white paper has been made public, but they are somewhat lengthy and technical documents.
So of course we did what all the cool kids at school are doing right now. We asked ChatGPT to summarize it for us.
At a glance, the proposals look to be forward-thinking and positive. However, this is just the beginning, and we should continue monitoring how the LDP approaches crafting AI policy.
And if it becomes law. So first, here's an overview of the white paper.
In April 2023, the LDP Digital Society Promotion Headquarters AI project team published a white paper on AI that shows the policy proposals of a group of MPs who have been tasked with formulating the ruling party's strategy for AI adoption. The white paper emphasizes the need for a new, comprehensive AI strategy to compete internationally. Japan currently ranks 29th out of 63 countries in digital competitiveness, which has prompted the government to take action. The white paper proposes 5 pillars of concrete action in order to strengthen Japan's AI policy.
Yeah, Japan is the third largest economy in the world, so ranking 29th. That's not really good, is it?
It's yikes.
Ugh. So the white paper has 5 pillars, and the first pillar is developing a new national AI strategy. This states that Japan must establish a, quote, command tower for AI policies, incorporating domestic and foreign expertise to review policies related to R&D, economic structure, social infrastructure, human resource development, and national security.
You know, looking at this, first of all, I love Command Tower. I feel like we're in StarCraft or Command and Conquer. They say incorporating domestic and foreign expertise, right? Foreign expertise is going to be key here. Because I think the reason Japan is so low in digital competitiveness is because they don't know how to dig themselves out of this hole. So they're really going to need to work with companies like OpenAI. There's a lot of other, AI tools and AI startups, AI agencies and companies all over the world now. They're really going to need to bring those resources in, even local resources here in Japan that know a lot about this, that are not in Japanese. That's crucial to making this work.
And they thought of that. The second pillar is nurturing and strengthening Japan's AI development capacity. This part states that Japan must invest in domestic AI model development, talent cultivation, and data resource aggregation. It also suggests establishing an AI hub that will facilitate information exchange and community building. Also addressing data bias in AI and enriching training data for source code general are also stated as being crucial.
I like the idea of the AI hub. I would definitely want to make that like a weekly thing. I'd love to be there once a week.
Well, you can go to the hub any day. There's just not any AI.
Yeah.
Okay, so the third pillar is advancing deep utilization of AI in government. This one states that Japan aims to harness AI in administration by learning from international use cases, initiating pilot projects, conducting hackathons, and developing guidelines. A specialized team, which is suggested as sort of a AI implementation support team, is supposed to help government agencies adopt AI.
The fourth pillar is encouraging and supporting the utilization of AI in the private sector. So this calls for urgent research on the impact of AI on domestic industries, alongside support for startups and cloud migration. That's a good one. Appointing chief digital officers, or CDOs, in private and public institutions can aid in AI utilization and data handling, AI governance guidelines and reskilling programs are also necessary.
The white paper also mentions that Japan must examine AI regulations in foreign countries and consider legal measures to address significant risks posed by AI in areas like human rights, national security, and democratic processes. It continues that the nation should also actively engage in international discussions on AI rules.
It calls for adapting regulations for the AI era. Japan must establish mechanisms for revising analog regulations, improve existing regulatory reform procedures, and consider guidelines for intellectual property laws related to generative AI.
Lastly, the white paper states that the government must integrate AI literacy into public education curricula and establish guidelines for AI usage in classrooms to prepare for the, quote, AI native era.
So this is really fascinating. We all know that Japan is so behind in software. As we said earlier, they rank so low on digital competitiveness. And this might be an opportunity for them to just, they've kind of been isolationist, technologically speaking, for the past, 10, 15, 20 years. And if they just all of a sudden regulate AI and make AI a part of everything, disseminate it in the education system, disseminate it across all the private sector and public sectors, they might catch up all of a sudden.
Yeah, well, the really big pain point, though, is the sheer fact that most of the education on programming and AI and all of the new stuff is in English.
Right.
Which Japan is historically not so great at.
Yeah, which I think is one of the reasons that is prompting them to make this white paper. I think there are people, obviously, in the LDP, in the government, that see how far behind Japan is, and these people have had exposure to foreign countries, foreign companies that are doing things that are absolutely incredible. And they're like, wow, we really, as soon as possible, need to get this integrated into the Japanese society. So, they're searching for ways to do it. But your point is really good. I mean, right now, with the current state of ChatGPT, the people who are benefiting the most are people who already have a high IT literacy, right? Because, you can talk, ChatGPT can communicate in Japanese, but if you ask it in Japanese, like, how do I make this kind of app? How do I do something technical? It will tell you, but you have to know how to execute all those technical things. And if you don't have any background in that, which a lot of Japanese don't, you can't really do anything with it. The tool is kind of useless.
Yeah, and so that's really where the rubber meets the road on this one. Obviously, there's this cool new tool, and Japan can use it, and Japan could also potentially make cool tools like it, but it lacks the human resources to do so.
Yeah, and your comment on making cool tools like it, this is what's happening in the US and Europe and everywhere except for Japan. I'm sure in Japan there's probably I want to say 5 or 6 AI tools, but the big thing in development right now is everyone's using OpenAI. So OpenAI is the company that made ChatGPT, and OpenAI has an API, and an API allows developers to use all the technology that's in ChatGPT. So there's this explosion of AI tools and apps all over the world right now. There's even a search engine where you can just search for different AI apps. And a lot of these are free, by the way, because the open source community is all about, copy paste your Excel data into here, and it'll give you very advanced analytics on, your business and how everything's going, etc. But the issue is in Japan, I haven't really seen a lot of local development for AI tools. And this is both an opportunity and a bad thing too, because Japan really needs to be participating in this exercise right now, which is we have this amazing new technology, which is large language models, right? Right now it's in the form of ChatGPT. That's the most popular form. But Japanese developers or developers in Japan need to be building tools for the local market here, or else Japan's going to fall even more behind.
Yeah, and that's a really important point. Obviously, with this new development, the pace of technology kind of feels like it's starting to pick up again.
Oh, it's crazy.
I don't know about you, but I feel like, somewhere around 2010, the technology we used didn't really change that much. But with ChatGPT, it's like, boom, shakalaka, the power of AI and robots and shit is going to change your life.
So Parker, you made a really good point. In 2010, 2012, the late 2000s, early 2010s, it didn't really feel like technology was progressing a lot. So they have this, there's this thing called Moore's Law, right? And it's a term used to refer to the observation made by the late Gordon Moore in 1965 that the number of transistors a dense integrated circuit doubles about every 2 years. So basically, this is all based on hardware, but software is kind of taking on the same trend. So we should see like a 2x, growth rate, right, of technology, like all technology, doubles about every 2 years, right? So what's happening right now, AI is proving Moore's law. As a matter of fact, I would say that it's somewhere between 10x and 100x. It's scary. I mean, it's April, and people that are in the AI space doing AI consulting, building AI apps, whatever, or they're AI researchers, machine learning researchers, they're starting to refer almost like they're like, oh yeah, back in February, back in January, as if it was like, yeah, back in 2005, back in 1998. I mean, because just in a couple months, just in 4 months, there's been so much innovation in the field. So
I mean, this is definitely the biggest technology boom since blockchain technology. But what I want to know is, we've got blockchain bros and crypto bros, but are we going to have AI bros?
There already are. There's a lot of, YouTube and LinkedIn are filled with a lot of crap. Like, this is how you make money. Like, you make $3,000 a day with ChatGPT. Now, granted, if you are a developer and you're using OpenAI's API to make a SaaS company, software as a service, there are a lot of opportunities to make really good products that use AI that can compete with really big companies that, like it can compete with design software like Figma or Adobe, or they could, compete with search like Google search. So, a lot of the AI bros, a lot of their, videos and stuff are misleading, but we are in fact in kind of a gold rush. Yeah, I would say, I would say AI, like the current state of large language models and what we can do with these to make apps is almost like the next internet, I would say. And I think this is very unexpected, because for the past 2-3 years, everyone's been looking at crypto, looking at the metaverse and whatnot. But under the hood, actual AI and machine learning research has been conducted at, universities like MIT, all over the world. The whole world has been so focused on the metaverse and crypto the past 2 to 3 years. But really, 2015, 2016, we did see a sudden boom in a lot of machine learning research being done at like Ivy League schools, right? Like actual, legitimate, documented, peer-reviewed research on machine learning development and artificial intelligence development. And this has kind of been going on under the hood, accelerating more and more. And GPT, I think became available a few years ago. And it was, not everyone had access to it. But the people who had access to it were like, there is nothing more important than this right now. This is the most powerful technology humans have developed up until this time. Like if you talk to technologists or people that, were doing research at these universities, one of the reasons I'm so excited about, AI and the way that we can use it, and also the backbone, like what is it setting on? Like crypto and the metaverse and all this stuff were kind of these conceptual ideas that it's just like, fake internet money, or, there's a lot of funny ways we can say it. But the current iteration of ChatGPT and the current iteration of the AI that we can use to make stuff actually has an incredible backbone. It's backed up by universities all over the world and some of the best thinkers in the world that have put so much, hard work into this to make this possible.
Yeah, and it just seems like this is really going to change the way that people work, the way that people do their jobs. And I think it's also going to cause huge shifts in the tech economy, because now people will be able to make software so much easier.
Oh, yeah.
So large companies that have software, watch out.
Yeah. I made a blog writing app, and I did it all with ChatGPT. And, even though I can maybe jump in and try to code some stuff myself, I purposely wanted to prove that you can be lazy and just use ChatGPT. You have to know the right questions to ask, right? So there is a little bit of a learning curve, and, you have to kind of understand software architecture, or even just, web app architecture and how it works. But, even me I consider myself I'm still a novice, but I was able to get ChatGPT to build me an app that queried an API, and I got it taught me how to deploy the front end and back end components of the application. I've never done this before. I've never deployed an application, but thanks to GPT-4, the new one that came out about a month ago, it got me there, and it's pretty overwhelming. I didn't sleep the day that I did that, because I couldn't stop. I'm like, oh my God, if I did this in just a couple days, I could make an app every 2 days. It's very overwhelming once you start messing around with it.
You know what, though? This is definitely going to make the human race increasingly lazy. And think about it.
Yeah.
You're going to ask Google to figure out what you need to ask ChatGPT to do.
No, I mean, there's already, you mentioned the whole crypto bros. Another thing that the AI bros are doing is they're selling prompts. So they're selling PDFs or Word docs that are really well crafted prompts that you can give to ChatGPT. And actually, some of these prompts do work a lot more efficiently, because it uses a lot of, they're called operators. There's certain keywords and stuff that OpenAI doesn't release to the public that if you use these when you're using ChatGPT, it's a lot more efficient and it produces a lot better outcomes. So there is this market now for people selling prompts for $1,000. It's just a couple, pages of a PDF. So there is some scammy kind of crypto-ish, not to call crypto a scam, but kind of the crypto bro. I think a lot of people that were metaverse crypto bros 2 years ago are now turning into these AI bros, and they're trying to make a quick buck off of it. But
yeah, I can't wait to see the YouTube videos. Look, y'all, I got this Lambo from ChatGPT. If you pay me just $10,000, you could get one too, son.
Parker, I think we need to start that YouTube channel.
Well, I don't have a Lamborghini yet.
Just use some nice car that we don't even own.
So going back to Japan, obviously there's this huge opportunity for Japanese AI bros. But in order to do that, obviously they need framework, they need education, and English would help too. And who knows what's going to happen, but hopefully this is a step in the right direction. And when I saw this, I thought, damn, that happened faster than it usually does.
Yeah.
But we should note this white paper was published by the LDP's Working Group on AI, which is part of the Policy Research Council. And it's not yet any bill that's under consideration, but it does show the likely direction of future policy because, of course, the LDP is the ruling party in both houses of government.
No, this is really promising. And, we even had a Web3 white paper come out, I think almost a month ago. So Japanese government, I'd say +1 or +10, whatever, they're doing a good job at really looking into the future. I think they definitely feel the pressure of being ranked so low in digital competitiveness. And really, if they end up disseminating AI or whatever form of GPT or large language models into all aspects of society here, Japan could very quickly catch up to South Korea, the US, and other countries that have a higher competitiveness.
Yeah, that's actually an interesting point, because Japan is extremely efficient while being extremely inefficient.
Yeah.
And so if AI could make those inefficient parts of Japan Inc. and the Japanese government and even small and medium-sized companies in Japan easier, then watch out, world, because, the other parts, they got down.
Parker, even to go into this further, we summarized the white paper about AI. It's so verbose, right? And Japan has a very big problem with being so verbose. And I think it really, it creates extreme inefficiencies, And I mean, this is probably a debatable topic, but one thing that ChatGPT is doing globally is it's teaching people to be more concise. How do you get an extremely complex idea that, originally was, 1,500 words into 2 sentences, for example. And ChatGPT is so good at that. It's so good at summarization. I would say that is one. I think it could change the way people communicate in Japan, which I think might be good in the long run. Get rid of the verbosity. Is that a word? I
don't know. Ask ChatGPT.
Yeah.
To our listeners, seriously, you've heard about it. There's been memes about it. Use it. This tool is some seriously good stuff.
It's a tool for everybody, no matter what your job is, no matter what your education level is. I mean, it's made to be played with now too. I would say it's made to be experimented with. Throw anything you can at it, and just, and by doing that, you will learn how to use it fairly quickly.
Yeah, and, if you're a college student, it'll help you learn stuff faster. And if you're working in a company, it'll help you do stuff faster.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unless you work at one of those companies that ban ChatGPT. Idiots.
Hey, listeners, that's right. You listener right there.
Who do you think should be our next guest on Tokyo Wave? Let us know. Drop us a line on Twitter or at wave@tokyowave.jp.
We hope you enjoyed Tokyo Wave.
If you haven't already, you can subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube.
Join us again next week on Tokyo Wave.